What's up? It's Mike Wall, and welcome back to the Agent Revolution podcast, presented by Mike Wall Live, the place where we deconstruct the biggest challenges facing today's real estate agents so that they can build a sustainable, profitable, and most of all, fulfilling real estate business. Today, I'm just sharing some strategies for winning. And what I mean by that is winning in multiple offers. These are the same 4 strategies we employ to win more than 90% of the bidding wars that we're getting in today. And if you are in our market, you know that it is a grind out there right now. It's a tough market for buyers to be in. But before we get started, don't forget, you can get more great content over at MikeWallLive.com. In fact, you can get 8 hours of free real estate business training over there. So make sure and check that out. But I don't want to waste a lot of time today. Your time is precious, and so is mine. So let's get right to it. The reason why I wanted to do this episode is, I know a lot of you are working with buyers, and working with buyers can be very challenging right now, especially in the market that we are in with not a lot of inventory. There's a lot of buyers and not a lot of inventory. So with the increased demand, as the limited inventory has created these scenarios where when a property is listed, sometimes even if it's priced high, there are multiple offers. And I mean like 3, 4, 5, 10, 16 offers. I think we talked about one scenario where in our meeting last Monday or Monday before last, where there were 17 offers on the table for one property within like the first 24 hours. And so I wanted to do a show to tell you how we're winning 90% of those bidding wars. And, while I think it's great, if you get a cash buyer, we know that in our marketplace, while there seem to be more cash buyers coming out of the woodworks right now, it's the exception and not the rule. And while it's great to have a cash buyer, we are seeing some scenarios where we're writing offers and even being able to circumvent a cash buyer. And I wanted to go over some of those with you to hopefully help add some value, not only to your clients, but to your business, and potentially help you win more deals. The first one, I'm going to save the best 2 for last, but the first one I'm going to talk about when submitting an offer is writing a personalized letter to the seller. And what I mean by that is in your letter, as a real estate agent, you want to have your client write this letter and tell the seller why it's important to them to live in this home, right? And they might want to talk about maybe they're raising a family there. Maybe they grew up in that neighborhood. There's some familiarity, something to try and connect with the seller on, why they want to be in that home. Maybe they think it's the most beautiful home they've ever seen, right? Something to really try to tug at the heartstrings of that seller. And we found this to be extremely effective with a really strong offer, especially if you're including a photo of your family with this letter and having the seller's agent present that. So that's number 1. Number 2, you may or may not have heard of, but we're using the escalation clause. And essentially what that clause is it might look like this. Let's say a home's priced at $250,000, right? And you write an offer at $260,000, right? And because you don't want to lose to these other offers, you put a limit or an escalation up to by a certain dollar amount to, let's say, $300,000, right? So you come in at $260,000 on a $250,000 house. But you put in there the verbiage that your offer is, you're willing to go up to $300,000, but the verbiage looks like this offer will supersede any other written, and that's important, any other written acceptable offers, because you want to see proof of the other offer. You don't want somebody just to escalate the offer all the way up to your top dollar without showing you proof. So it's this offer will supersede any other written acceptable offer by $5,000 up to $300,000, right? And that $5,000, that would be the amount that you would supersede the next lowest written acceptable offer. So, right. So if somebody wrote an offer of, let's say you came in at $260,000 on this $250,000 property, but somebody submits an offer at $275,000, right? But you said in your escalation clause, you would beat any other written acceptable offer by $5,000 up to $300,000, right? So in that scenario, your offer would become $280,000, which is $5,000 above the $275,000. And you would win that bid by having the highest and best offer, right? So that's how we're utilizing the escalation clause. So that's number two. Number three is, this is my favorite one because it's so easy to do and a lot of people just don't do it, and I don't know why, is calling the seller's agent for favorable terms. And what I mean by that is, it's simply picking up the phone before you're writing the offer and you're saying, hey, my buyers really want this house, and we're willing to work out anything we can on occupancy. So maybe you call the seller's agent and you find out they're moving to South Carolina and they need 30 days occupancy after the closing date, right? And so what you might do is you write your original offer as you submit it with a 30-day after close occupancy for the seller, right? And people love that, right? It's because if they see a very clean offer and the occupancy is dialed into exactly what they're asking for, they're much more likely to accept that offer than any other offer because it's in alignment with what they already had in mind, right? And some other things, some other favorable terms that I had written down here are inspections, right? So maybe you choose to have the property inspected or you don't, but either way you can say, we're going to have this property inspected, but we'll take it in its as is condition. And hopefully, there's, if you have the property inspected, you still have the opportunity, or your buyer still has the opportunity to cancel the contract if there are any structural or habitability issues, right? If you're a conventional financing or you're a cash buyer, right? You can buy these properties and not even have them inspected, and buyers certainly love that. And in some cases, you can waive the appraisal on cash deals. And so these are all favorable terms for the seller, right? So it's a simple phone call to the seller's agent to find out some of these favorable terms, in addition to your personal letter and picture for the seller, and in addition to your escalation clause. And the last one, and one of the more powerful ones, I think, that we've been doing, and it's fairly new to our market, but one of our agents here brought this to my attention because he is an acquaintance to, I think it's actually his cousin, who works for Coldwell Banker or something in Columbus, Ohio. And they're doing something called an Appraisal Gap Assurance. And this one's really cool because what it says is, and they're in a much more competitive market, believe it or not, than even we are here in Dayton. But what this says is that if you make an offer, let's say of $250,000, or let's say you make an offer of $275,000, right? And the home only appraises for $250,000. It says that you will bridge a portion or all of that gap between the 250 and 275, right? And so you're saying basically my offer is what it is, no matter if the property appraises or not, right? And the seller feels really good about that, especially in this marketplace, because they know they're going to get their price. And I wrote this down. So if you have a pen right now, you can write this down or email me and I'll send it to you. But the verbiage on that should look like, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not practicing law, I'm just sharing with you what we put in our contract. And it reads, should the property appraise for less than the final agreed upon purchase price, a short appraisal, right? Buyer will cover any shortage of the appraisal up to a maximum of X dollar amount. Final purchase price shall be agreed to in writing by buyer and seller. And that's it, right? And this is super powerful, again, because it assures that seller that whatever you put in writing, even if it doesn't appraise, that they're going to receive. And so, and again, if you couple all of these together, if you in one offer, like you are writing the strongest offer possible, aside from, cash, and then including all these terms. And again, I told you, we've actually used these strategies to outbid cash buyers, because cash buyers sometimes get a little bit of an ego and they think, oh, well, I can come in, $5,000 or $10,000 low, or even at list priced in this crazy market. And meanwhile, we're going over, or we're including an escalation clause, and at the end of the day, they're collecting a check, right? They're collecting a check. It's either no one's bringing a suitcase full of cash to a closing and saying, here's all your cash, right? It's a check from a title company at closing. So these are 4 really simple, unique strategies that you can utilize immediately today in your business to go out and win more multiple offer situations. And hopefully this has added some value to you. And next time you're writing an offer, that you're writing one to win. And you guys know I love sharing these educational tips. I am definitely pro realtor. I love our agent community. I love you guys, especially the ones who are seeking education. I sought education when I got into this industry. I still do today. And I'm happy to reciprocate that back out into the agent community. As usual, I love sharing these stories week after week, because I know this show is literally changing agents' financial lives, my own included. Do me a big favor. If you know someone that might enjoy the podcast, please share it with them. And if you like the podcast, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure you smash that subscribe button. Don't forget to visit MikeWallLive.com, where you can get 8 free hours of real estate business training. Again, that's MikeWallLive.com. And that's putting a bow on this one. Thank you so much for listening.